In the sweltering summer of 1972, a series of inexplicable events began to unfold in a rural Thai village. The story revolves around Yaem, a young girl whose life took a terrifying turn after a mysterious encounter. Yaem lived with her family in a small farm, where her mother and siblings worked tirelessly in the fields. The family was close-knit, with 6 children, 3 boys and 3 girls, including Yaem and her younger sister Yi. One day, while walking to school, Yaem and her siblings took their usual shortcut through a bamboo forest. Along the way, they passed an ancient tamarind tree with a shrine. It was here that they encountered a pale woman with a rictus grin, who seemed to be staring at them with an unblinking gaze. The siblings quickly performed a wide gesture of respect and hurried past, but the encounter left Yaem shaken. That night, she awoke screaming from nightmares, the first sign of a series of bizarre events that would soon engulf her family. As the days passed, Yaem's behavior became increasingly erratic. She began to experience hot flashes and would often stare into space, her eyes taking on a hollow appearance. Her appetite changed dramatically. She started eating raw chicken giblets, a food she had previously avoided. The family visited the local health clinic, but doctors found nothing wrong with her, attributing her symptoms to a cold or flu. However, it soon became clear that something more sinister was at play. Yaem's nightmares intensified, and she would often wake up in the middle of the night, screaming. Her family tried to comfort her, but her condition worsened. She became aggressive and would talk to herself, often in a voice that was not her own. The family was terrified, unsure of what was happening to their once gentle daughter. As the situation escalated, the family sought help from a local shaman named Uncle Phut, who was known for his ability to deal with supernatural entities. He diagnosed Yaem as being possessed by a malevolent spirit, possibly a Phi Tai Hong, a violent spirit known to cause chaos and destruction. The family was desperate for a solution, but Uncle Phut's rituals seemed to have little effect. One evening, while the grandparents were away, the family experienced a terrifying night. Yaem's behavior became more aggressive, and she disappeared into the bamboo grove. Her siblings searched for her, finding her sitting in the darkness, her eyes open but unresponsive. The family was on edge, with some members believing that Yaem was no longer in control of her actions. The climax of the events occurred when Yaem's eldest brother, Uncle Giant, returned home after a long absence. He was a hardened ex-soldier who had seen his share of battles, but was unprepared for the horror that awaited him. As he tried to intervene, Yaem's behavior became more erratic, and the house was filled with strange noises and movements. It was as if an unseen force was haunting them. In a desperate bid to protect his family, Uncle Giant armed himself with a shotgun, ready to face whatever evil was tormenting them. The night was filled with howling sounds and unexplained movements, culminating in a dramatic confrontation. Yaem, or whatever entity had taken control of her, began knocking on the door, asking to be let in. The family was paralyzed with fear, remembering the old superstition that if someone knocks 3 times and asks to enter, it is a sign of malevolent intent. As the night wore on, the family heard footsteps outside and the sound of someone walking with their heels down. The door creaked open, and a figure stood in the doorway. It was Yaem, but her eyes were black as coal, and her voice was not her own. The family was frozen in terror as Yaem began to speak in a voice that sent shivers down their spines. The next morning, Uncle Giant returned with a local shaman, Uncle Phut, who was renowned for his knowledge of the supernatural. Uncle Phut examined Yaem and declared that she was indeed possessed by a powerful entity. He began a ritual to cleanse her of the malevolent spirit, but it was clear that the entity was not going to leave without a fight. As the ritual progressed, the house was filled with an eerie atmosphere. The family could feel the presence of something ancient and evil, something that had been awakened by Yem's encounter with the mysterious woman. The air was thick with tension as Uncle Phut chanted and performed his rituals, but the entity seemed to grow stronger, resisting every attempt to exorcise it. In a final, desperate bid to save Yem, Uncle Phut revealed that the problem was not just one spirit, but a chorus of wronged entities. The family realized that they needed to perform a more powerful ritual to cleanse their home and Yem of the malevolent presence. They gathered all the necessary items and prepared for a long night of chanting and prayer. As the night wore on, the family heard strange noises and saw shadowy figures darting around the edges of their vision. The air was heavy with the scent of incense and herbs, and the sound of chanting filled the air. Slowly but surely, the entity began to weaken, its hold on Yem loosening as the ritual progressed. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the ritual was complete. Yem lay still, her eyes closed, and her breathing steady. The family was exhausted but relieved, knowing that they had finally rid their home of the malevolent presence. As they looked at Yem, they saw their gentle daughter once more, free from the grip of the entity. However, the experience left deep scars. Yem never fully recovered from the trauma, and the family was forever changed by the events of that summer. The mysterious woman by the tamarind tree was never seen again, but the legend of the haunting lived on, passed down through generations as a cautionary tale about the dangers of meddling with forces beyond human understanding. Years later, the story was shared on Ghost Radio, a popular show that explored paranormal experiences. The narrator, Kit, recounted the terrifying events that had occurred in his family decades ago, leaving listeners with a chilling reminder of the unexplained mysteries that lurk in the shadows of rural Thailand. The story remains a testament to the enduring power of fear and the unknown, a reminder that some secrets are better left unspoken. As the years went by, the family tried to rebuild their lives, but the memory of that summer lingered. They knew that they had faced something truly evil, something that had threatened to destroy their family from within. The experience had taught them the importance of respecting the unknown and the dangers of meddling with forces beyond their control. In the end, the story of Yem's possession became a legend, a cautionary tale told around campfires and in hushed whispers. It was a reminder that some mysteries are too great for human understanding, and that sometimes the best course of action is to leave the unknown alone. The family never forgot the terror they experienced, and they lived the rest of their lives with a deep respect for the supernatural forces that lurked in the shadows of their rural village.